All right. Let's see. Oh, hold on one second. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Okay. I'm not sure why my character animator wasn't coming up, but all right. Welcome to another stream. Again, I am a little bit under the weather, but that's okay. You know what's crazy? I actually got this is like the fastest I've ever like overcame a sickness. So I think it was probably just like a minor cold or something. But anyways, we have a couple topics here today. The first one is the Queen's bus redesign. I actually did not talk about that one last time, so I think it's good to talk about it now. Then we're going over to Ohio, surprisingly, for Akron. Why? Because I don't know. I just kind of threw it in there because I thought it would be interesting. And then we're going over to Seattle with their transit expansion, and we're gonna see what the city of Seattle is doing over there. And then after that, we're gonna go over to Dart, and we're gonna see the Silver Line, because that's gonna open in October, I believe. And then after that, the final story, the final story, the LA Metro, because of course, the longest light rail line in the world just got longer. So we have to talk about that because I think that is a really fascinating subject. Okay, let me see, make sure my mic is not too loud because I know that was the issue last time. Let me turn me down a little bit. Okay, all right. Um, yeah, all right. Let's get into it.
Queens riders are navigating brand new bus routes as a network redesign went into full effect across the borough today. The MTA is promising faster speeds and shorter waits, but not everyone is on board. Elle McLogan met with riders in Astoria.
A 70-year-old system is getting a modern makeover as the Queens bus network redesign completes its final phase in Northwest and Southwest Queens.
I think that'll speed up the service.
The MTA says the upgrades will speed up service for the borough's 800,000 daily riders.
Having 24/7 buses definitely is useful for us.
It's fantastic because the parking is so bad. It's horrible.
But for some, the redesign feels like chaos, not progress. In Astoria, rerouting has put more riders in the treacherous path of a bike lane, says advocate Charlton D'Souza.
If there was a bus stop analysis team where each bus stop was photographed, measured, and all of that, we wouldn't be in this predicament.
Shinan stays vigilant as she waits for the wheelchair ramp to lower.
So it's a very narrow, tight space here.
This is lawsuits and accidents waiting to happen.
And D'Souza says it's not the only issue, as a Q101 segment linking Queens to Manhattan is discontinued.
And for people who want to take a bus in Manhattan, they're going to have to be taking 3 buses, So it's really, this is not senior friendly, this plan.
The MTA says the plan reflects years of community input. Elmhurst resident Judy Wong doesn't feel her voice was heard.
They didn't ask the people, not me, because when they change, it's not convenient. Sometimes.
Yeah. So again, this kind of goes back to what I was talking about. So we have elderly people, right? They're talking about how the Queens bus redesign isn't good for them. And of course, it's not good for them, right? Because what's the problem with Queens and the outer boroughs in New York City? The way that we have redesigned our bus network is to basically space apart the bus stops, because obviously there isn't any type of heavy rail or any type of subway system, or really good subway system that can link Queens and Brooklyn together. I mean, you only have one line, the G line, that does that. And then outside of that, then, we don't have the IBX yet. We don't have any of that type of stuff yet. So we end up with the really big problem where we have buses that are used as kind of like the arteries for the outer boroughs. But the problem with the buses is there's so many stops. So New York is taking away some of the stops, MTA is taking away some of the stops. But then by taking away some of the stops, now elderly people have to walk further. So it's like the real thing is you're trying to turn, or the real issue is that New York is trying to turn buses into essentially what subways would be. But now there's a missing gap because there aren't any aren't any buses technically taking up, like, so for example, right, if we go to Manhattan, bus stops are spaced really close together. I think they're spaced like one every 2 or 3 blocks. But that's okay because you have a subway that's spaced every 10 blocks. So, but now that we're making it so that the buses are spaced every single 10 blocks, or maybe like 5. Now it's like 5 to 10 blocks in the outer boroughs. It's really, really bad for elderly people. I understand that we're trying to make buses faster by lowering the boarding times, but again, now we're making it less accessible in general. And then you just see like where they've been placing the bus stops. Like you're gonna place a bus stop in this area? Like, come on! Like, there's literally a bike path right here. you literally put a bus stop in a bike path. Like, I don't understand that at all. All right, so continue to go.
3 buses, so it's really, this is not senior friendly, this plan.
The MTA says the plan reflects years of community input. Elmhurst resident Judy Wong doesn't feel her voice was heard.
They didn't ask the people, not me, because when they change, it's not convenient. Sometimes we have to walk so far away.
The MTA says it will conduct a review over the next 6 months to ensure reliability and rider satisfaction, using feedback to correct problems and make adjustments to the new routes.
Even though people complained online, nothing has changed. They haven't made any emergency adjustments, and that's the problem.
14 new routes, including special rush routes, will test whether the benefits outweigh the frustrations.
Yeah, and so another thing about bus redesigns, and we're going to get into Akron, Ohio's next. The thing about bus redesigns, these redesigns are really like a way to cut back on buses. So a thing about when we space the buses or the bus stops further apart, again, you don't have to pay that much maintenance, especially if they're like bus shelters or something like that. You don't have to pay maintenance for the bus stops now. But then also you get to use more or less buses, or you're basically putting more buses on a very busy route instead. So all those other buses that were kind of like weaving through neighborhoods and stuff like that, those routes have gotten straightened out, so that now they are faster to go from point to point, point to point from the end of the line to another end of the line. But they aren't good for people who will need that bus stop to be close by. And essentially, what the Queens bus redesign did is not only did it, it's not like it, how do I say this? It's not an improvement for the people as much, but it is an improvement for the MTA financially. So technically, these are like bus cuts. They're like bus service cuts by making the buses or the bus lines more streamlined, if that makes sense. But yeah, all right. So the next story that we have is Akron, Ohio. I don't know if I've talked about Ohio as much on the main channel. I don't think so, except if it was that one time when they turned over their funding for high speed rail. But I think that was the only other time. But like, let's see what Ohio's doing. They would say they're funding. They're finding, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they're doing, Jasper. They're basically saying that they're finding inefficiencies. So they're basically like, okay, well, there's this a little bit of an issue here. Of course, well, maybe this bus stop is put on the wrong spot on the block. So we'll just like, instead of just moving the bus stop, we'll just get rid of it altogether, type of thing. And so they've basically been doing that. Am I for them doing this bus redesign? I mean, personally, like I don't really I understand why they're doing it from a financial standpoint, and I understand from a logistical standpoint. But the reality of it is, the outer boroughs just need some form of like heavy rail mass transit. That's literally the main problem here, is that they're trying to make buses fill that niche, and buses don't fill that niche. That's not a niche that buses can fill. So that's really the main issue.
Now tonight's Eye on America, our nightly portrait of the country, the people, the issues, and solutions. 1 out of 20 Americans takes mass transit to work each day, and it's not always a smooth ride. So tonight, Mark Strassman takes us to a city that is making mass transit work, the Rubber City, Akron, Ohio.
You're about to learn how Akron reimagined its mass transit system.
What would you change if you could change anything?
This is how, by listening.
Are we coming on time?
Dawn Dissler rides a different bus once or twice a week, and when she does, she's all ears.
We are here for you.
Nearly 40 years ago, Dissler drove a bus here. Today, she's the CEO of Metro, Akron's transit system.
Dang, what a come up. So you went from a bus driver to being the CEO? That is a crazy come up. Yeah, no, shout out to her. Shout out to her.
Serving more than 5 million riders a year.
It's an old school approach, asking your customer, what can we do for you?
And also getting out and riding. If we're not using our product, why should anybody else use it?
No, yeah, for real. Started from the bottom.
Metro threw out its dated map of where buses fan out across the city. Routes changed. Frequency improved. Buses started running 7 days a week, every 15 minutes, where they're needed most.
And how far from work do you live? It's about 4 or 5 miles.
We rode with Tim Burton on his way to a new job at this grocery store where he stocks shelves. You can call him, without exaggeration, a lifelong Metro user. As a newborn, his mother brought him home on a Metro bus.
The frequency is the biggest thing for me. Every 15 minutes is just incredible.
Metro also started hiring differently. Take Robin Hunley, our bus driver.
Were you surprised when they hired you?
Oh man, I was. It was the best gift ever.
Hunley applied with no prior experience driving one of these 40-footers. No problem.
See, and that's exactly how our transit systems need. And I think the problem started, maybe it was like, I want to say like, I'm not really sure where the bus driver shortage started, but I know 20 years ago was not this bad. And I think the problem started because transit agencies didn't really invest in drivers training as much when it came to like, hey, like if you apply to be a bus driver, you need to come with Tim Burton. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but when you apply to be a bus driver, you need to like have your CDL. You need to have all that stuff already. And the problem is that I think that turned away a lot of people from, you know, like becoming a bus driver and like staying in the career. And so what ended up happening is Now we have a bus driver shortage, and like a really bad one across the entire country, because that investment hasn't been, it just hasn't been a thing. And so it's really good to see that buses or transit agencies are actually like trying to train people to become bus drivers and giving them CDLs, because that way even if they were to leave the city and go to another city, they can still become a bus driver in that city as well. So I'm happy to see that, that transit agencies, because Jasper, like this is actually transit agencies have been doing this. I think I want to say that it was really like before COVID or like pre-COVID or like post-COVID, like around that time when transit agencies were like, okay, well, we need bus drivers, and because like everybody wanted to expand their system. This is like America right now is going through like a transit revolution, and they just didn't have the employees for it because there have been so many transit cuts in the past couple of decades.
I just knew it's something I wanted to do, and I was ready.
We can teach you how to drive a bus. I can't teach you how to be nice.
Oh, yeah, it's good.
Akron's transit system reinvented itself in 2023. Over the next year, ridership increased 24%, more than triple the national average.
All of our maintenance will be done in this space.
Distler walked us through the city's new $61 million bus maintenance facility. And Metro won the industry's Oscar, the 2025 National Mass Transit System of the Year.
Basically, you played the cards you had rather than the cards you wish you had.
Yeah, no.
Dang, okay. No, she really pulled it together. She pulled it together, and I respect that. I respect that. That's a wild feat, especially for Akron, Ohio. Like you would not have expected that. And exactly, Planet Axolotl, exactly. It's like just from asking the writers, hey, what do you want? They actually came up with something that worked for everybody. And yeah, wow, that's actually crazy. Just a little bit of an investment in some elbow grease, but yeah.
Nobody gave us more money. Being able to get where you need to go, having transportation to get you there, as far as I'm concerned, that's a civil right.
Metro is riding high on its back to basics route, provided.
Does that one run enough?
And they will ride it. For Eye on America, I'm Mark Strassman in Akron, Ohio.
Yeah, good for her.
Tonight, transportation advocates come with a clear message for sound transit.
All right. So we had a kind of mid story after the first one with the Queens bus redesign. It's good, but also not that good. It was kind of a sign of struggle as well. But then the Akron bus system, that was a good story. And now we're going to sort of weird story. Here we go. We're going to talk about funding again. It's always a thing when it comes to public transportation. And this one is in Seattle. Of course, Seattle has this massive light rail expansion project or expansion system project that they have. And so far it's been fun to watch from somebody who's not actually from Seattle, but I'm pretty sure if I was from Seattle, it would be painful to watch as Line 2 is still not fully completed and connected to Line 1. And so we're gonna see exactly the reason why and what will be the solution that Seattle comes up with.
The trains you promised. This comes as the agency says it needs to find ways to cut costs to fulfill voter-approved expansion plans.
And Cairo 7 was first to report Sound Transit is billions and billions of dollars short. Cairo 7's Madeline Otterly joining us live now in Ballard, one of the areas that is supposed to get service as part of this expansion, Madeline.
Al Gary, advocates say we cannot compromise on these projects, even in the face of this massive budget shortfall. Now, today, City of Seattle leaders, they reiterated that message and they announced their next step to help. Transportation advocates don't want to see light rail expansion plans derailed.
The message from voters, riders, and the public is clear. Build the damn trains.
It comes days after Sound Transit announced it's up to $30 billion short to deliver on voter-approved expansion projects.
Sound Transit has the money on hand to continue delivering all of their planned programs. It's that in 10, 20 years, there are holes in the budget.
In those next few decades, light rail is supposed to expand to West Seattle and here in Ballard.
It would be great if we had a way to get to downtown in under 10 minutes or so.
And south to Tacoma, north to Everett, and more. Is there any realm of possibility in which we could see projects delayed, canceled, or taxpayers could be left?
Wait, hold on. I don't know if I've ever looked this up yet. But if Sound Transit expands like all the way to Tacoma and all the way to Everett, I think that would be all with line 1. Or I think there's like this weird split between line 1 and line 2. But okay, so if line 1 gets all of its full length, would it be longer than the Metro A line? Or would it be like, because that would be an extremely long light rail line, and I feel like they would be battling it out for the longest light rail line in the world. Line 1, yeah, I think it's line 1. Yeah, so that would be insane. I actually want to see this battle to the point where I'm like, I want these light rail lines to get extremely long. They're already, I think the Metro A line is already pushing it to the point where it's like very inefficient. And line 1 is probably going to be pushing it to the same length as well for light rail, because remember, these light rail, like they're not street running per se, like they're not running in mixed traffic, but they are street running. They're not running in mixed traffic. They have their own dedicated right of way, but they still have to stop at red lights and all that type of stuff as well. And so when you have an extremely long line like this and you have to stop at red lights and all that type of stuff, not good. Seattle. Yeah. Line 1 being bigger than some that is the craziest part. Line 1 is larger than some full subways. So this is gonna be pretty crazy.
To front more money.
We have to see progress. We can't assume that there's going to be drastic delays. Letting our staff with Sound Transit to figure out how creative can we be.
The City of Seattle has already vowed to streamline the permitting process. Wednesday, council will consider approving the money to hire more staff to get it done.
Seattle will do everything it can do to reduce costs, and we're going to expect every other.
Oh yeah. Planet Axolotl, the longest light rail line in the world is definitely not a dub, but it is completely for the meme of it. Sure, we'll just. Because I can't wait till I get to this Metro A line story, but yeah, for the meme of it, it is hilarious because it's like you did all this to build one of the most inefficient ways to get somebody from point A to point B from one end of the line to the other. Like at that point, it might as well be 2 lines or 3 lines put together.
Jurisdiction, city and county to do exactly the same.
The longer we wait to start building, the more these projects are going to cost.
Sound Transit is now weighing different ways to save money to close its multi-billion-dollar gap. Advocates and city leaders say there is no room for projects to go off track.
It's not about whether these projects are going to happen, it's about when they're going to happen.
Not the first time that Sound Transit has had to re-examine its budget for these voter-approved plans. I asked Mayor Harrell today what sort of oversight will be in place to ensure something like this doesn't happen.
Yeah, sidebar. Why does the news cut people off like that? Like they cut people off in like the worst times. I guess because people do ramble a little bit, but like I was actually interested in what he was gonna say next, and it just kind of just like, all right, well, your time's over. All right.
Happen again as we look towards the years ahead. His answer coming up tonight at 6. Live in Ballard, in Seattle, Madeline Adelie, Cairo, 7 News.
Today, DART's CEO announced the long-awaited Silver Line will open on October 25th. The 26-mile rail line will connect 7 cities from Plano to DFW Airport. But the move comes as the agency makes service cuts in other locations. Fox 4's Lori Brown, live in Dallas with the story. Lori.
And this is going to be, I guess, the theme for today, except for Akron. I'm not sure if Akron had service cuts. That story didn't really say anything. But yeah, that's the theme. We're seeing all these different expansions and quote unquote improved services, but they all come with some sort of drawback of reduced service. So it's kind of interesting to think about it. You know, like even when you think about like SEPTA and all that's happening there, it's like either pulling from capital funds to fund your operations, or pulling money from your operation funds to fund your capital projects. That seems to be a really common theme in America, and it leads to these types of weird issues. You know, like these types of bittersweet issues.
As DART makes cuts to service, the CEO says that the region actually needs to be doing the exact opposite to make room for the millions of people that will soon be calling North Texas home, making the area the 3rd largest metro area in the country.
Opening date, I'm getting choked up here, will be on Saturday, October 25th.
DART president and CEO Nadine Lee said DART will be free for the day and the Silver Line will be free for the first 2 weeks of service.
We want the whole region to ride together, to celebrate together.
DART's expansion comes amid a large budget dollar reduction.
So as you know, this has been a really tough budget year. In our proposed $1.8 billion fiscal year 2026 budget, we had to make some really, really hard choices. As we considered the budget impacts of inflation, rising fuel costs, increasing contract costs, and new services like the Silver Line, we knew we needed to hear from our riders on their priorities. And boy, did we hear from them.
After 200 people spoke out at a hearing in July, DART reduced its budget cuts from $60 million to $25 million. Lee said the agency needs to be adding, not cutting service as North Texas.
The bus almost tilted over. What is that? Oh, that's a CNG. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I realized that CNG buses, especially like New Flyer CNG buses, they ride like really weird. They're so top heavy because of all like the fuel on the top part. Like you can see this bus almost flipped over just mid news report.
$5 million. Lee said the agency needs to be adding, not cutting service as North Texas is poised to become the 3rd largest metro region in the United States within a decade.
Many of our new neighbors will hail from transit-rich areas of the United States.
There's also future planning for new sports venues and DART's role in providing game day service to thousands of fans. Dallas Stars president and CEO Brad Alberts addressed that.
Probably all know about the arena situation with us and the Mavs and the involvement there. I think it's a complicated and complex situation, but where we ultimately play, whether that's at the AACs or somewhere else, I think mass transit is going to be at the forefront of that decision.
Albert says the biggest challenge for DART, creating a new culture.
People need to know that this is a safe and effective and affordable and efficient way to get to these events. You don't have to jump in your car. And, you know, we again talked about we're not an East Coast city. We don't have a culture of using a subway or a train. So we have to train this to become trendy.
Lee says
he was spitting right there. He was low-key spitting right there. That is true. And I've pointed that out before. You know, it is one of those cases where you have to kind of influence people to like take the actual train. One, by, you know, making it safe, which in most cases it is, but what it really needs to be is efficient. You need to actually like make it so that people can be like, oh, I don't have to wait. You know, a 15-minute wait time is I feel like where the line should be drawn. After that, we're talking about 20-minute wait time, 25-minute wait time, 35-minute wait time. People aren't going to want to sit around for that. So especially when it comes to like making transfers and stuff like that, there's certain ways that you can convince people to get out their cars. And I always feel like light rail is such a weird way to convince people to get out their cars. Even with, Seattle or DART in this case, you have these giant parking ride systems for light rail, and the light rail isn't really that much faster because sometimes the light rail has to get stuck in traffic, and what I mean by traffic is the light rail has to stay behind the traffic light. You know what I'm saying? Like the light rail is getting stuck behind the traffic light, the same traffic light that you would be stuck behind if you were driving, or maybe not because you might be taking the freeway. So it's like, building these light rail systems, I understand that they're cheap, but especially for these massive cities, it's like it obviously has its drawbacks, Let's see. All right.
Service and public transit coming to the San Gabriel.
Now, time for our last story, and then we can just yap. But yeah, time for our last story. Okay, so we have the Metro A line. The Metro A line is getting longer because look at this. Okay, let me move
Gabriel
this.
Valley this morning.
The extension to the Metro A line is opening. KTLA's Omar Lewis live in Pomona.
All right. Yeah. Anyways, that bottom story was kind of crazy. But yeah, no. This is really great that the Metro A line is expanding because now I get to make fun of the LA Metro just a little bit more. Honestly, no. The LA Metro is. I will say this: the LA Metro is one of my. No, it is my favorite light rail system in the U.S. I will say that because I think the LA Metro is, if I can see it in the future, like a century from now, being upgraded to be a full like heavy rail metro. Maybe not. Maybe like somewhere around there, because you have high level boarding, you have all this type of stuff. If the LA Metro would just like reduce some of the street running segments, it's okay to have like grade crossings. I mean, it's not okay, but it's better than the street running segments. But if they were to take away the street running segments, then like this could become like a legitimate system. I think it would be really easy to do that compared to other light rail systems in the U.S. So I think the LA Metro is actually really is set up really well. It's just unfortunately, as it is right now, it's just kind of funky looking. Is the airport thing being a success? I've seen videos of it. And I've been actually like interested in that myself. And I don't think it has, but the reason why the K line, the Metro K line and the Metro C line have not been that much of a success when it comes to like the airport is because obviously there's no way to get, or there isn't like a 1-seat ride into downtown LA or into like any of the actual tourist attractions. So you're not really going to convince people in that way. Also, the airport, the station isn't actually connected to the airport as of now because the people mover has not been, or I think it's in testing right now, but it's not open yet. So that's also an issue because now you have to take a bus from the airport to take a train, and then you're still going to have to transfer from that train to get to wherever you actually want to go. Because remember, the C line, the Metro C line runs in the median of a highway the entire time. I don't think there's going to be any real tourist attractions that you want to go to around that, like in that highway median. And then the K line runs through. For LA, it's densely packed neighborhoods, but in reality, it's not really densely packed neighborhoods. So in both cases, it's just not like there's just no actual destinations that you would really use them for. A joint, yeah, that would actually be pretty interesting. Having a joint Metrolink and California High-Speed Rail tunnel from LA Union Station to LAX, that would be interesting. There's so many things that like even in New York where I'm just like, man, it would be cool if they could actually. But the thing about that is there is the Burbank station, but for California High-Speed Rail and how that's supposed to turn out, but Metrolink can't share the Burbank station because Metrolink won't electrify their trains. So, yeah, there's that. So, then you come back to reality and you remember like, oh, they're actually trying to do something similar, and then it's like, oh, but then transit agencies are making excuses for not building like overhead electric systems and stuff like that, and over here using hydrogen trains and like all that type of funky stuff. So, yeah. All right.
With where all the new stops are, Omar, good morning.
Good morning, Jess and Frank. Yeah, we're live this morning from the new Pomona North Station where they are rolling out the welcome mats and running the very first A-line train into town. You can see one of them behind me here this morning. This is the first time they've had service like this in this area in more than 70 years. Want to bring in Edna Stanley, Chief Deputy Operations Officer for Metro this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate that.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you so much. Tell us about what's in store for today.
Oh, we're excited. So this is the opening of the new A-line extension out here to Pomona. We're actually adding 9 miles to the A-line for a total of 58 miles. And guess what? This is the longest light rail line in the world. Wow. So exciting times for San Gabriel Valley, exciting times for the region.
Tell us about this. This is a $1.5 billion project, a lot of money here and an investment for this community. What does it mean for the San Gabriel Valley?
Well, since you brought it up, because this is key, on time and on budget. Yeah. But really exciting connections for the residents out here. So we've got 4 new stations.
Hey, yeah, okay. I don't understand. You see, maybe because it doesn't frustrate people enough when they hear that. But I'm just gonna play that back, just real quick.
A lot of money here and an investment for this community. What does it mean for the San Gabriel Valley?
Well, since you brought it up, because this is key, on time and on budget. Yeah.
Okay, but then that's never a story. Whenever public transportation expands or there's a project or whatever, and it's delivered actually on time or on budget or under the budget, or like way before the time it's supposed to open, like the story is just like, okay, well, yeah, it opened, and then that's it. But then if it's delayed by a little bit, then it's like, we gotta, it's all the rage. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so this project is actually delivered properly, right? And then it's just like, it's crazy. You barely hear anything about it. Like, but if this project wasn't, then this would make national news. It would make national news that like, oh, look at this, another transit project just failing, and then but like, man, that's so frustrating because, I understand how like the news works, and the whole thing is to like elicit emotion out of somebody, and a lot of times the easiest way to do that is just to provoke anger out of people. But like, You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like this is like a feel good story. This is like a okay, you know, we spent our money on something and they actually gave it to us. They actually gave us exactly what we wanted. That's good. But of course, this is not all over the place. And I'm not gonna lie, I got lucky finding this story or whatever, because I knew that I've been watching the Pomona extension for a while, but then I forgot when the date was for it to open, and I was like, oh my gosh, did it open and whatever. And of course, like, my entire feed on YouTube is filled with like public transportation and all that type of stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, there aren't a lot of news news reporters or news reports on this extension opening. They're not news reports on this extension. So I don't know why this isn't getting a lot of attention, because it is the longest light rail line in the world by far now. So you would think it would be a bigger story, especially, you know, like, and especially in LA. But it's not. It's not a big story for some reason, for some crazy reason.
But really exciting connections for the residents out here. So we've got 4 new stations. We've got Glendora, there's San Dimas, the Laverne Fairplex, and then here at Pomona. So really good connection for the residents that are out here in this area. We're excited about it. These stations out here are also serviced by Foothill Transit. So there's local bus service that connects to these routes. And then there's even MetroLink out here as well. So for those who live out here in San Gabriel Valley that are used to spending their time on the 210 and the 10, now they can go Metro and get downtown in less than an hour, 58-minute ride, and you'll be at Union Station.
We're supposed to wrap up here, but I have one more question about the 28 by 28 plan, getting folks to the Olympics. There's going to be some games out here. Tell me about that really quick.
Yes, really cool. So at the Pomona Fairplex, if you're a cricket person, cricket is coming for the Olympics to the Fairplex. So this project is a part of that 28 by 28 initiative. So we're excited to actually be on the route, literally, to the Olympics.
Thank you so much for your time, Edna. Really appreciate that. A big celebration here as these first trains will officially roll off at noon. We'll be here for the party and everything else and bring that to you coming up in our next hour of news. That is the latest for now. Here live from Pomona, I'm Omar Lewis. Guys, we'll send it back to you in Hollywood.
Omar, it's fantastic. And I was just looking on the Google Maps. It takes an hour to drive from Pomona right now to downtown LA in the middle of rush hour traffic.
Right.
Sounds like just about the same time on the train, but you don't have the stress of driving, and you can sit on the train. It'd be great. Yeah. Fantastic.
Okay. So, yeah. So I think if you guys want to talk about another story or whatever, let me know. Is there another story? I'm gonna try to stay away from like California high-speed rail news or anything that I typically would talk about on the main channel. That way I can just leave it for the main channel. I'm trying to cover stories on this channel that I typically wouldn't talk about much because it's out of the scope of the main channel. But if there are any stories that you guys know of, because I know some, but I probably I feel like I have enough to make cut this down to make a couple videos for the week. Ooh, Sunshine Quarter. Okay. Let's see. Sunshine Quarter. Let me see. I think I'm not sure if anything has actually happened with the Sunshine Quarter yet. Yeah, that project is moving extremely slow, unfortunately. Yeah, that project's moving. Yeah. Preferably in the U.S. because then I can actually, I get views. Whenever I talk about something that's not in the U.S., then it's like, Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if I talk about something that's not in the U.S. or briefly mention it, then my U.S. audience is like, oh my gosh, he's talking about. He mentioned Canada. I'm off this video. Amtrak route connecting. Oh yeah, there is that Amtrak Mardi Gras. That is true. Second, let me get that right up.
Oh yeah, it's finally here.
All right, Amtrak Mardi Gras, because I forgot to talk about this last time. I don't know why. Why did I cover? I don't know why I didn't cover this story. But yeah, Amtrak Mardi Gras service is here, so that's cool. Well, it's been here for a month, but we're gonna act like it's here right now. But yeah, no, this is interesting. I love how they put the ACS 64 in the front. But yeah, no, this is great. Is a great story for New Orleans, and yeah, let's go.
Here, huh? Mobile gets its sneak peek at Amtrak today. Amtrak's Mardi Gras service, as it's called, held its inaugural run between New Orleans and Mobile for the media and dignitaries today. It was definitely a festive atmosphere and talk about the future. Amtrak pulled into downtown Mobile for its inaugural run this afternoon to a warm, down-home welcome. It marks the first passenger train service along the Gulf Coast from New Orleans to Mobile since Hurricane Katrina in 2005. Amtrak President Roger Harris talked about why he believes this route, and rail in general, is important.
The thing about transportation, rail in particular, is it brings people together. It really does. It connects communities, it brings people together, and it creates economic activity. And that's what's really important for this region. And I think it's true everywhere in the country.
Mobile Mayor Sandy Simpson was among those riding the train in from New Orleans.
I'd never been on the train from Mobile to New Orleans, and it's beautiful scenery. A lot of it across the marshes in the Pontchartrain, Lake Pontchartrain. It's just something to see.
Amtrak's president also talked about whether there's a target number of passengers he'd like to see ride the train.
Typically, passenger trains run 60, 70% load factor, so percent.
I need to go on. I don't know why I just popped in my head, but I need to be on an inaugural run for some train. I keep missing it because I'm in college. I keep on missing all these inaugural runs, and I keep on watching them, all these parties and stuff, and I get jealous. I'm like, why am I not there?
Seats filled. So we'll be very interested to see how that develops, and hopefully we can get enough demand that we actually need more equipment on the route.
And with the route being called the Mardi Gras service, Mayor Simpson was asked if he thought more people would go from Mobile to New Orleans to see Mardi Gras there, or vice versa.
It's going to be interesting to see which way more people go, whether we have more people going, trains full going to New Orleans, or train full coming to Mobile. And there's no way I can predict that.
And a lot of people will be watching the numbers as the service moves full speed ahead. And again, it was the inaugural trip. Service for the public begins on.
1 second. Let me see what this story is right here, because this. Wait 1 second. This seems interesting.
Amtrak's Mardi Gras service on the Gulf Coast has been operating for about a month. The full numbers
Okay,
are
why do they keep using this? Why do they keep on using this ACX 64? Why is this the mobile service? Like, what's going on? You know what? It's so funny because the news, like main media, just looks at a train and they're like, "Train is train," and then it's like, why are you guys still using this? It's all right. Well, you know, I'm gonna let you guys rock, but I feel like sometimes I'm just like, we got to do better a little bit.
Well, just yet. However, data from the first 15 days, it's positive, showing the trains were close to full. During that period, 6,700 people took the train, an average of 447 a day. They've been about 65% full. That exceeds the national average. Saturday has been the most popular day for travel. The average price for the fare there is $26 per coach.
$26? Oh man, that's so like $26 is so cheap. Like business is only $64. I mean, the line isn't super long, but it's like man, like those are the fares I like to see when it comes to like intercity travel, because that to me is actually an attractive fare, especially when it comes to a train. Like, you're telling me I can actually get up and walk around and all that type of stuff. Like, that right there is an attractive fare. So, yeah, and then you can see it's obviously because now you have people who are traveling from 3 to 8 people, right? So that's like, these are like groups of people who are like, hey, let's take a day trip together. And to have a coach fare that low, that kind of incentivizes people to do that, which is interesting.
$64 for business class. The new service was made possible by a subsidy from the city of Mobile, and it's only a 3-year commitment. Our Brendan Kirby asking the two candidates for mayor what they plan to do beyond that.
Building the political support to bring Amtrak back to Mobile was no easy task. The city council last year finally agreed to subsidize the service for 3 years. Whether it continues beyond that might depend on the next mayor of Mobile. The contract with Amtrak to run.
Hey, 3 years is 3 years is enough. You know, that's at least longer than SEPTA. So they're getting somewhere. And I'll take 3 years. 3 years is I feel like, especially with all the new equipment coming in to Amtrak, it's going to make, so like, all right, so let's say we have, what do we have coming in? So we have the new Aero train sets coming in for the Northeast Corridor. That should push around a lot of those amphitheats. So those amphitheats get spread around. I think the Horizons are being worked on as well. So they might be come back, which means that Amtrak is going to have a surplus of equipment. And that means that these trains can get longer. And so then Amtrak can actually lower the fares a little bit more, which would also increase the ridership as well. So I think that this is honestly 3 years isn't just enough for there to be some actual change, which is nice.
On 2 daily trains between the port city and New Orleans.
Oh yeah, make the Sunset Limited again. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's just there's like, I feel like the political will to make the Sunset Limited daily again is just like not there. It just doesn't exist. We'll see. Maybe with the Mardi Gras service, maybe that will change some minds politically or like reset the tone. Because I remember, like, the more people that actually use public transportation and have a positive experience with public transportation, the better, because then that means that politicians will actually be willing to go ahead and fund these types of projects, more of these projects, but also make it so that there's more service as well.
Required a subsidy with a little more than $3 million from Mobile taxpayers.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
The debate dragged on and ended on a yes vote only after Mayor Sandy Stimpson got commitments from the Port of Mobile and Alabama Governor Kay Ivey's office to split that cost. Council members emphasized after the vote last year that Amtrak shouldn't expect to come back asking for more money at the end of that 3-year term. For passenger rail to succeed long term, they said, it would have to find another revenue source. Against that backdrop, the two candidates vying to succeed Mayor Stimpson have different views on the matter. State Representative Barbara Drummond enthusiastically supports extending the contract. Former Mobile County District Judge Spiro Cherrygatis is more cautious.
I was on the infant part of that, of getting the Amtrak, and I am so happy I had an opportunity to talk to then Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. So I am elated and would be happy because that's an incentive.
If we make it daily, it would no longer be limited. Well, that's actually a great point. You know what? Let's cut back service a little bit more, because then we can make it even more limited. So we can call it the Sunset Even More Limited. This is actually an upgrade. It really is an upgrade when you think about it, because we're really staying true to the name. This is actually the type of logic that transit agencies use. They'll cut service and then be like, well, the service cut is actually service improvement.
That's going to bring people into our city.
Cherrygatis says he looks forward to riding the train to New Orleans with his children and going to the zoo. But he says future financial support from the city should be contingent on performance.
I'd like to see growth. You know, if I see an upward tick and then stagnation, I think we really have to reevaluate what we're doing. But if we see
growth in terms of
passengers, riders, you know, hopefully, you know, dollars coming into our city.
This is just one of many issues in the race. Voters don't have long to decide. The election is Tuesday. Reporting in Mobile, Brendan Kirby, Fox 10 News.
All right.
Hired a subsidy with a little.
Yeah. So you know what? Let's see what happens with the Mardi Gras service. Hopefully, I think it's a success right now, but it's only been a month, and of course, like that first month of a new train service will be like, there'll obviously be like that ridership jump, but then we just need to see what happens afterwards, if this ridership can keep up, and if the people who are actually taking the train are getting off in Mobile and stuff like that, and actually spending money in Mobile, because that's the only way that the city will continue to pay for the service, which makes sense to me as well, because like it is good to have the trains there, but if nobody is using it so that they can get off in your city and start paying, like spending their money on stores and stuff like that within your city, then I don't think that the service is going to be worth it for the city to continue paying for. So it does make sense. I understand that doesn't seem like any people here are like actually trying to derail this on purpose. I think that everything they're saying like kind of adds up. But yeah, that's it. That is our all of our stories for today. I'm gonna have to cut these into more videos. I still have to cut last week's videos into more videos, so you're gonna see this channel become a lot more active, just in case you have missed anything. But it was great interacting with all of you guys. W's in the chat, again, if I earned your like and subscription, I love you, and made it this far in the video, thank you